Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Today we're looking at Psalm 9. Well, as you know, we'll not be able to give commentary on every verse and every psalm. That would take us a number of years. But we will pull out verses from each of the psalms as we go through them. Psalm verses that have spoken to my heart, maybe that have a great message for all of us and can encourage us to trust the Lord. In this Psalm 9, we see an epic battle between the forces of evil and, of course, the righteousness and the judgment of God. It's a battle that's been going on ever since sin came into the Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter 3. And God pronounced and said there'll be enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed or the serpent himself. And so we've seen this battle where Satan is trying to pull down the forces of God, good versus evil, always throughout the entire scripture, throughout the universe in a sense, since Satan fell from heaven and began his evil deeds and his evil work because of the pride of his heart. And the battle goes on daily between nations, between people, between those who are righteous and between those who are unrighteous. And the psalmist recognized that battle, but he recognized that God was on his throne. At least 3 references in this chapter to God on the throne. He sits on the throne in Zion in verse 11. He sits on his throne and he is the sovereign God and he's in charge. And verse 10 is a verse that has jumped out at me over the years that we have used as a theme verse for many, many years as we preach through the names of God. And that verse is, and they that know his name, verse 10, Psalm 9:10, and they that know his name will put their trust in him, because you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. So the winner on every occasion is, of course, the people of God, because God is on their side. And my friend, when God is on your side, you can be assured you're on the victory side. Read Romans chapter 8. We are more than conquerors through him who loved us and gave himself for us. And if God be for us, who can be against us? Well, let's look at the introduction to the psalm, or the title of the psalm is To the Chief Musician, and it's to the tune of Death of the Son, a Psalm of David. So now we know David wrote this psalm. Many commentators believe that it had to do with the death of maybe even Goliath, and David's still looking back maybe years later. We know a previous psalm actually dealt with that. So David's looking back and remembering God's victory as he's dealing even now with battles with the nations. And we see that in the last part of this chapter, the battle against other nations who've come to destroy the people of God. God always takes care of his people. And so let's begin, because this is a joyful psalm. In the midst of the war, in the midst of the fight, in the midst of the battle, the believer, you and I, can have a joyful heart, because we know one day the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, he will come and set up his kingdom. And David looks forward to that even in this psalm. I will praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies turn back, they shall fall and perish at your presence. For you have maintained my right and my cause. You sit on the throne in judging in righteousness. You have rebuked the nations. You have destroyed the wicked. You blotted out their name forever and ever. O enemy, destructions are finished forever. And you have destroyed cities, even their memory has perished. But the Lord shall endure forever. He has prepared his throne for judgment. He shall judge the world in righteousness, and he shall administer judgment for the peoples in uprightness. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, Jehovah, have not forsaken those who seek you. Well, that's the first 10 verses. And I trust that as you realize we have a God who judges in righteousness. In other words, he always does that which is exactly and perfectly right and you can put your trust in him today. And he will not forsake you when you seek him. He will help you. He will be your refuge in the time of trouble. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.